Yay! Okay, I gotta move this agenda thing out of my face. Okay.
All I see is you. Is that?
Look
at that!
Hey. Oh, let's see. Okay, people, my people, we are here. We are live. Partly the lady of the pack.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Poppins of dog training is in the house. I'm like so stoked.
Oh, yay! Yay!
So, first of all, for those of you that are new, because we've had a ton of new members to the group, welcome to Bark, Intuitive Canine Training. I am your intuitive guide, Amy Neal. I am a channel for Source Energy. I talk to dogs, I talk to their spirit guides, and I use all of that information to help guide me in the training process. So if you want to learn more about how to do that and how to take fear and ego out of the game for yourself and for your trainer or for your clients, I have a 6-week course called BARK, stands for Bravery, Awareness, Respect, and Kindness, and it's an intuitive guide and how you can use that to tap into your intuitive nature and bring that gift that we all have out in your training programs. Because
that is gold, lady.
Isn't it amazing? All came to me from Spirit. I channeled all of that. Like the whole guide and everything and how to use it. It came intuitively. I didn't have to do any hard work to get there. Well, that's a lie. There was a lot of hard work getting there, but you know what I mean. You are frozen. You're frozen. Are you there? Oh no. Kim. All right, we'll do this. Guys, I don't know what's happening. So bear with me. We might have to jump off and jump back on. I wonder. Okay. So anyways, let me, let's see what's happening over here in the Facebook group. Let me just bear with me. And go into, I'm just checking the Facebook group to see what's happening.
Yay!
Are you back?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, all of a sudden my computer just completely shut off. I don't know if it was installing an update or something.
Oh my God, that's really funny. That's what happens when we bring Source Energy into the equation. They're just like, nope. We're just going to take care of this. All right. So, Kimberly, you are the founder of PackFit and also the author of My Dog, My Buddha, and you are the Mary Poppins of dog training. How did you get that title? Hilarious.
I loved it. One of my clients kind of, that was not self-subscribed. One of my clients started calling me that, and then like she referred some friends and they were calling me Mary Poppins. So it just kind of stuck. I was like, that's cool. I'll take that.
Oh, that's funny. So you are the lady of the pack.
Mm-hmm.
And you, I would say like most people, we all had that dog.
Sorry.
Yeah. I love my Tracy. She's the one that bought the book for me.
Oh, okay. Oh, awesome.
Tracy, where are you? She wrote a comment. Okay. She says, hi, ladies. We're going to show that. She lives like 20 minutes from me, so we get together all the time.
Oh, really? That's fabulous.
Yeah. So it's awesome. So Lobo was your game changer that brought you into the dog training world. Not only that, but it sounds like he shed a lot of light on how us as humans affect the dog behavior equation.
Yes.
So let's see. So how maybe elaborate a little bit more on that, on how your journey with Lobo and your background is also in people life coaching as well, right?
Yeah, human behavior, human psychology, coaching, all of that stuff. Yeah, so it's, I knew that I was meant to be of service in some way, somehow. And the health stuff, all of my college degrees, all of that, it's all in health and nutrition, health promotion, wellness, blah blah blah. And but I knew that I was supposed to be infusing that with animals some way, somehow, specifically dogs. And it really wasn't until I went out to take that workshop under Caesar that everything kind of gelled together and came together for me. It became crystal clear. And especially because of the fact that I would dare say a very high percentage, maybe 80% of dog training is training the human end of the leash. Because, we're their primary source of information. They're looking to us for how to feel, for what to do, for their cues, their instruction, their directives, all of that stuff. So, we can't teach, we can't lead, we can't guide without first understanding how to effectively communicate. And how we show up in our space. We're projecting and we're giving out so much more information than we realize. It's not about verbal stuff. It's not about anything like that. We're saying far more without even speaking at all. So it's learning how to communicate in that way, and just becoming uber aware of the type of information and the type of messaging that we're sending out. That really makes a great impact. But as far as Lobo goes, he was one of my greatest teachers, but I didn't realize that at the time. It was only when I was reflecting back on it. I'll try to nutshell the story. I was married at the time, and my ex was very much a indoorsy kind of guy. I'm very much not. I'm an outdoorsy kind of gal. So I essentially became, I was tired of asking him if he wanted to leave the house, go for a walk, go for a hike. So I was like, you know what? I've wanted to get a dog for a long time. I'll get a dog. So I got his, consent, and he was probably like, yeah, that'll take the heat off of me. Go do your thing. So I got Lobo, and Lobo became he was everything. He was everything to me. He did everything with me. And I was learning as I went. I learned that, daily exercise was really good. I learned that exposing him to a lot of different dogs and different personalities and energies and different people and different environments and situations and scenarios was really good. He was a really well-rounded, really balanced dog. He was an awesome dog. And 2 weeks before my husband and I decided to get a divorce, my puppy Tucker came into the mix, and Lobo was an amazing role model for him. Took him right under his paw, taught him everything he knew. And then when the divorce went down, it was like a switch flicked in Lobo. And who was once a very balanced, well-rounded, social, easygoing dog became overly protective and aggressive. And in my mindset at the time, I was like, oh my God, what is wrong with my dog? My dog needs training. My dog needs fixing. It was all my dog, my dog, my dog. And that's a very common mentality and a very common mindset that a lot of people have nowadays. And it's one of the biggest reasons why a lot of training programs fail. So it becomes very one-sided. So I bounced from trainer to trainer to trainer to trainer. And every single one of those trainers were harping on pumping out treats and obedience training, brain training. Mm-hmm. All of them missed two very, very critical ingredients. One, the state of mind aspect of the equation, and two, the human ingredient, the part that I played in influencing and impacting and feeding his behaviors.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, and so after, I think it was 6 or 7 trainers I went through, the last one was a 2-week board and train program. And he responded well when he was there. And I had moved into a situation with a roommate that had a dog and some cats. And I told her what was going on with Lobo, and she was like, well, it sounds like he's doing well in his board and train. We'll figure out things as we go. It's okay. And I was like, okay. So he was doing well, and he was responding well in the training program when he was there. But as soon as he returned to me, went right back to his old behaviors. There is a massive, 2x4 in your face, gargantuan clue that I didn't see at the time. There's information right there. And he ended up, long story longer, he ended up biting someone. It was my roommate's boyfriend. They'd come home really late one night. And Lobo, we were at a point, he basically lived in my bedroom. I didn't know what else to do. And he was on a leash whenever we went through the house. He had developed a lot of anxiety. And so I was having to take him out to go to the bathroom every hour. He had really bad diarrhea, and it was a very, very stressful time. And, I had reached out to friends and friends of friends and rescue groups and just everybody that I knew, trying to see if anybody could maybe take him under their wing until I found a space where I could afford to live on my own with Tucker. And, I reached out to my ex-husband. He wouldn't help. And he ended up having to be put down. Yeah. And, and this is something that I share with my clients, is we don't know what we don't know until we do know. And then when we do know, we can make adjustments and tweaks and changes and all of that. But I never want a dog to go through what Lobo went through. And I never want any of my clients to ever go through what I went through, ever. And I'm really, really, really passionate about educating and empowering and equipping the human end of the leash, because this is, had I known then what I know now, it wouldn't have been an issue. I would have been able to keep myself together. And he was basically responding to the fact that I had not slid out of position, but I did a face plant. I fell out of position. There's a natural order and a natural structure, and this was something I wrote in a blurb I did, I think yesterday, about leadership. There's a natural order and a natural structure to how everything operates in nature. It's
you have to go.
Yeah.
You have to go with the flow.
Yeah, it just is what it is, and especially in the animal kingdom. So they in a canine pack, they do operate very much on a hierarchical, I think I said that right, system. So, at the head of every human family, you've got a parent or set of parents. They provide and meet the needs for the rest of the dependents. They provide structure, rules, boundaries, discipline, all of that stuff. Very similar with the canine pack. You've got an alpha or a mating pair of alphas. They establish and enforce the rules, boundaries, parameters, discipline if and when needed, all of that stuff. So it's two very similar. We're both social pack animals. We're both, we come from a social pack oriented species. So, once the divorce went down and I was in my dark night of the soul, I was in my darkest chapter in life, and that's what he was responding to. So I face planted out of position. His genetic coding told him to assume it, but because dogs don't understand the world around us like we do, they don't understand how to navigate it like we do. It creates a great deal of imbalance and insecurity, and just this is why we see so many various expressions, and that's what behavior is. It's a manner of expression. So
let me ask you this, because the other night I was sitting, I watched a new blog, and it's Letters from Vivian, and Vivian is the spirit guide of my own dog.
Oh.
And I was reading it, and I've reread this post back 5 times. I could recite it. And I'm reading, dogs are unconditional love. Okay, dogs are unconditional love. What does that mean? When I go to channel spirit, I call on only those that love me unconditionally, because we have to move the ego out of the equation, right? So I was like, oh, my dog. Dogs don't have egos. So everything that they're navigating in our world, is their way of saying, that's out of balance, that's out of balance, that's out of balance. They're not actually saying, I'm out of balance. They're the radar system for telling us when other things in the environment are out of balance.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Am I explaining that okay?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, when I'm walking my own pack of dogs, I can always tell when I'm having an off day. They become my barometer. Like, I can always tell when I'm having an off day, even if I think that I have my, stuff together. I can always tell when I'm having an off day by just how they respond to things.
Yep. So tell me this. What is your definition of ego? I describe it to people as it's like our 2-year-old self. Like, when things aren't going the way we want, we kind of, like, the ego comes out and starts throwing a temper tantrum. Mm. And I find that husbands are the biggest producer of the ego within the family environment. And my husband is not excluded. I love him to pieces, but it's like the dog is barking at you because, he's telling you to pay attention to things and you're just barking back at him. It's not working.
Yeah.
It's working. So how do you describe to your clients, like, how that ego comes into play and how we can, I guess, learn when it's popping up, like in our relationship with our dogs, and how to move past that?
That's a really loaded and a really good question. To me, I would define ego as the blending of our childhood self, our adolescent self, our young adult self. There's different chapters, different phases that we go through. I mean, when we're born, we're born just pure and innocent and open and loving and trusting and curious, and just, at least, I mean, I can't remember when I was born. I'm assuming that's how I was when I was born. Right? I mean, it's, we haven't been programmed yet. We haven't been conditioned yet. And as we age, our parents, our friends, our teachers, what we see on social media and the TV, what we notice going on around us in the environment, how people are interacting towards one another, we start developing filters. And we also start, if we don't have, I often talk about instinctual needs that dogs have, that need to be met and fulfilled and provided for by us in order for them to feel safe, secure, comfortable, balanced, all of that. And with people, it's no different. And oftentimes our parents, and this isn't blaming, this isn't shaming, this isn't pointing fingers, but many of us, we've all been programmed and conditioned to a point, and our parents are included. And if they didn't have their needs met, then they've had certain filters that have been created. And it creates a cycle, and it continues, with every generation. And, what we see, how we respond, how we react, how we feel, the thoughts that we think, the words that we speak, these are all coming from certain beliefs that we've developed from those earlier points in life. So yeah. whether it's I'm not good enough, or I'm not lovable, or if I ask to have my needs met, I'm going to be considered too needy, or whatever.
I don't get enough respect around the house. All those.
I'm not deserving of those things. Yeah. So our level of self-worth and self-acceptance and self-love, I often talk about self-concept, comes from this space. And when we don't have our needs met, when we didn't have them met by, our parents, which, who were basically our primary source of information, then we start to seek it, externally. I really do believe at some point, hopefully down the road, we'll get to a point in life where we start to realize and understand that we have everything inside of us that we could ever possibly need.
Yes, that's so true. That's the thing that I'm most passionate about.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to seek outside reinforcers.
No.
We just have to tap into what's already there.
Yeah. And that's what life coaching is. It's helping people to remember who they are underneath the conditioning, underneath the programming, underneath the illusions and the lies and all of that stuff. And that it takes a great deal of courage to look at that stuff. It takes a lot of forgiveness. It takes a lot of it's a lot of work. I mean, it's work that I've been doing for many, many, many years.
It's every day. It's how we wake up every day and feel our feet on the floor. And are we motivated to go outside and get fresh air? Are we putting the right foods in our body? Like, it's all those things contribute to it.
Well, this is the thing: is if we continue to rely on external circumstances, people, other things, or whatever to validate us or to determine our level of worth, we will always end up being disappointed, because when we depend on external stuff is always changing and fluctuating, and so we will crumble and we will fall every time a change happens in the external world. But if we have a stronger sense, and if we're in tune with and we're connected with who we are in essence, and I mean, I believe that we all have souls. I believe that the soul never dies. I think that, I view death as a rebirth in a sense. It's a
Absolutely. Yeah.
And, I think that we're a chip off the old divine block. Like, we are a spark of the divine. And when we reconnect to that space, that power, that strength, that love, that joy, that abundance, that everything that is, then, I mean, we walk through the world with different eyes.
Absolutely. And I attest to that 100%. I spent the last year being pregnant and being what?
A whole year?
Well, not a whole year being pregnant.
Oh, it was
I got pregnant, and then I got into this life coaching course that not dog related at all, but that's what led me to the intuitive side. And that was all about peeling back the layers. It was the ego, the fear, how to find what was inside of me and not have to go to, external people for validation. And that took me the whole year. And I'll tell you what, when you're pregnant, your ego flies. It affected everything. I was cranky. I was up one day, down the next day, and I'll tell you, my dogs took the brunt of it. They were rock stars. They were very forgiving of me in my lack of get up and go to take them outside. Mm-hmm. And then all my exhaustion and all of that. And when I look back on all of that work that I put in to just bring the balance back that I knew was there, mm-hmm. The person I am now compared to a year ago, totally different. I'm like, I don't need to go seek out that validation. Those fears, when fears come up, I go, oh yeah, that's just my ego kicking up. And now I can see it in my clients. Mm-hmm. And it makes it easier for me to say, well, where is that coming from? Where is that fear coming from? Or like, where's your mindset today? Because your dog's off, so where are you at? And they're like, oh my God, I'm so stressed today. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, so let's reroute. So how do you, number one, how easy is it for you to pick up on when those fears and I guess lack of confidence in your clients comes up, or that like when they start making stories mm-hmm. about what their dog is capable of? Mm-hmm. How do you navigate that?
You know, there's something like when you're in tune with energy. I mean, there's something very powerful about that, and you're better able to bring to the table what's being called for. You know, just as kind of like as a balance. So if somebody is super upset or super, you know, whatever extreme you want to go to, if you counter it with that energy's exact opposite, then you're able to kind of meet in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some people I sense need tough love and the hard truth. I mean, there's different ways. I mean, we can feel what people are ready for, and I think how they're going to respond.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever read the book by Dr. Aaron, The Highly Sensitive Person.
No.
A really amazing read. Yeah, it's, I don't know if you've ever read anything about like empathic people or anything like that, but.
Oh yeah, that's me.
Yeah, so I mean, there's, you know, I think that when we become more in tune with ourselves and more self-aware, then we're actually able to, we actually become a lot more in tune with others, and we figure out how we can navigate that a lot better, how to really connect with somebody and not really set them off. But there is an element of, I mean, I'm very transparent, I'm very open, I'm very truthful with what I believe might be going on, but I will, depending on the person, I mean, I'll ask questions. I'll try to see if maybe they can figure it out on their own instead of me presenting what I, you know, my hypothesis. It's a lot better, and then they feel, I think they feel a little bit, it's kind of like therapy, you know, and you just kind of steer them a little bit so that they can come up with the answers on their own. And it, you know, it builds confidence, but it's like dog training too. You know, you give them just a little nudge, a little bit of motivation, but you actually allow them to make the choices and them to participate and them to make the move and whatever, and it starts to build their own confidence. It's very similar with people.
Yeah, so that leads me to the next question that it just keeps popping up, and it wasn't on the agenda, but have you ever had clients where, you know, you're asking the questions and they're not really getting there, and then, you know, you're trying to, well, not trying, but you're sharing the hard truth, but you're coming from a place of love and they're still not getting it, and then you give them like the tough love and they're still not getting it? Do you ever get to the point where you've just had to let clients go, even though you've not gotten the dog to where the dog needs to be?
Oh, you mean like just not work with them at all?
Like, yeah, like you just get to that point where like maybe they're not ready to receive or to pull back the layers. Have you ever had that happen?
There's a lot of talk, I think, in a lot of forums about like firing clients. Like, if it's not a good fit for you, don't waste your time. Fire clients, give them the axe.
Yeah. But not that. I'm not talking firing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I see that. But I believe more in planting seeds.
Mm.
And, you know, because even if I'm really, when a client signs on with me, I'm incredibly transparent with the fact that there is a very high accountability factor involved with this. If you want to see the type of results that you want to see, if you want to reach your goals, there's going to be some sweat equity involved. And I mean, on top of my training, I provide them with resources and DVDs, like any tools, any aids to communication, anything that I recommend, I provide them with. Everybody's enrolled in the online course that I have, and it covers, like everything: language and communication, structured walking, nutrition, the human ingredient. It covers a whole bunch. So I'm really big on building people's personal libraries. But as far as, I mean, getting to a point to where I don't think it might be a good fit. I'm trying to remember if that's ever happened. I know that
not a good fit, but like where they've absorbed as much as they're capable of absorbing.
I'm sure. Yeah. Again, I always like to leave room for people to surprise me. You know, and the same with dogs. You've got to always leave room for surprise because
love that.
People will always surprise you. And I mean, they might be really, they might have some blocks and they might be really resistant to information that you're sharing and maybe just unwilling. I mean, because at the end of the day, dogs don't change their behavior until we change ours. Our behavior is one of the biggest reasons why they have some of the behaviors that they have. So, so it's, you know, if the most, I've gotten to the point to where if I'm able to plant seeds, then that is good enough for me. And at some point, even if they're resistant at first, I think, you know, people usually post-session or whatever, they'll let things marinate. We have to give time to let things marinate and to just take form. And for them, maybe something might connect with them. Maybe something might resonate with them. Maybe not. But, you know, maybe in 5 years down the road, they might remember something that was said, or they might remember a concept or a principle or whatever. And it might, at that point, they might be ready to understand it, you know? So it's, we always have to leave room for surprise. And again, it's, you know, I know that people invest in results and they pay for results. And again, I'm super transparent with what's involved if they want to see those results. But you know, as far as expectations go when it comes to human behavior, it's just about planting the seeds.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I run into that all the time. And sometimes I have to step back and say, okay, I know where we have to go with this dog, but to get there with this particular person, I can move faster than I realize, right? Like the element of surprise, like, oh my gosh, this person is actually way more open to receiving this information than I had expected, or I have to move way slower because there's more layers to peel back. And actually the funniest one, I'll just give an example. I have this older gentleman and I think he just wanted something to do with his dog. Like he felt like his dog was bored, so he just wanted to do training. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't really share too much of the empathic side of what I do, the animal communication, the animal healing side. And I just kept it like fun, upbeat, light training. The dog didn't have any issues. They just wanted to bond together and do something with a directive. Mm-hmm. And so he starts asking me, so you talk to dogs? And he started like, I was absolutely blown away.
Yeah.
And I said, well, yeah. He said, so how do you know, like he wanted to know everything. How do you know that my dog is talking back to you? How do you hear the dogs and how do you sense that you're connecting and all these things? And the thought that immediately came to my mind was, your dog is the way that he is, happy-go-lucky, balanced, loving life, always willing to do all of the work because of this gentleman's outlook. Like he'll say, we start off the walk and it's hard. You know, he wants to pull and he's super excited, but by the end of it, we're where we need to be, and I'm pleased with that. And I'm like, that, as long as you are pleased with your relationship with your dog, like that's the goal. Even if it's not necessarily my perception or the story that I've created in my mind of where the dog should be. Mm-hmm. If they can make that transition through the walk from excited, a little bit ungrounded, a little bit crazy feeling to like, it's like a warm up. You can't just jump into exercise and expect to not pull a muscle. You have to warm up and ease into it. And I'm like, that client in particular has been a great teacher for me because of that element of surprise and the teaching points that he has opened up to me of, oh yeah, Like, we need a warm up for some people. Some people need to just warm up to things.
Yeah.
So let's, how, like, where does fear come up? Like, where do you see fear of going deeper come up with your clients and your dogs? Like, in terms of the dog owner relationship?
I think it depends on the beliefs that they hold about themselves. You know, whatever story they keep on repeat. So if they have the belief that, you know, nothing I do is right, or I'm not doing enough, you know, it's those beliefs that we hold about ourselves that can easily and quickly get triggered. And when those beliefs get triggered, then we'll see the person respond and or react. And in my mind, there's a big difference between a response and a reaction. A response comes from a calmer, more grounded headspace. Reaction, on the other hand, is a little more off the cuff. It's emotionally charged and fueled. And that's, I often make the comparison about, you know, when dogs, you know, react, that's, you know, state of mind wise, that's what's going on. You know, it's off the cuff, it's, you know, whatever. But with people, you know, a wise thing to do is to, you know, if you have any kind of emotional energy before you approach a situation or continue in dialogue or whatever, it's always best to just go burn that off somewhere so you can come back with a clearer, just, again, more grounded headspace. But I
like exercise, journaling, anything
like punching the closet, going in the closet and screaming, or taking a bath, getting a massage, going for a hike, you know, whatever. There's a lot of different ways to you know, just burn off that steam. Because if you don't, then the pop's gonna top, or the top's gonna pop.
Right. The thing that really intrigues me is that post you put up about your client with the closed shades and the reactive dogs, and the dogs not being able to see the outside world. So everything, like every little shift in the energy is setting the dogs off because they aren't equipped to deal with it.
Yeah. We're still really early in our training, and this is going to be far more about her than it is the dogs. She just had a puppy that she welcomed into her Packatoo. I kind of had a feeling that would happen. It was a foster fail. And her two dogs, which is who she hired me for, now the third dog. But you know, we really want them, especially for a young dog that is impressionable, we really want them to be good role models. But this is really like our realities are entirely reflective of the beliefs that we hold about ourselves and the stories that we tell ourselves and how we feel about ourselves. And the reality that she's living, this is not shaming, or this isn't judgment or anything like this. I mean, we all have, you know, when I conducted, I before I enter into training, I conduct what's called the IBAC. It's the initial behavioral assessment and consultation, like 2.5 hours long. It's really deep. It's thorough. And a number of times, I think I'm going to have to start bringing tissues. A number of times, you know, the human, you know, the person will get quite emotional and, you know, release, and it's good. And I'm honored because they feel safe enough to release, you know, in that space. They feel comfortable enough. They feel safe enough to do so. But, you know, the reality that she's living in with her dogs, like you said, I mean, the shades are closed. The house is falling apart. You know, she's got a rat problem. The chairs that are sitting in the living room were chewed up and just destroyed by her previous dogs, but they're still sitting there. And it's going to be I think she's ready. I really think she's ready. I hope she's ready. I know that she's ready for change. I think there's going to be a little bit of resistance, and there's some habitual patterns that are at play. So we're gonna take it very, very, very slowly because I want her, unless she's comfortable, her comfort level is really important. It's a fine balance because in order to change, you have to get slightly comfortable with the uncomfortable, you know. So it's kind of like you're teetering with that, but I don't want the discomfort to be overwhelming, and I don't want the comfort to be overwhelming. So you have to kind of find that middle point where change is welcomed and not so just not so overwhelming and
Yeah, because I think it's the overwhelm that leads clients to feel I'm not doing a good enough job. Like it exacerbates those stories that they already have.
Yeah.
And then that's what drives them to say, well, this is really hard. I'm not seeing results, so I'm going to step out of this program.
Yeah.
Once they hit that point, there's no getting them back because they've made up their mind.
Maybe.
But you don't want to overwhelm them because that overwhelm can exacerbate things in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Depending on how people respond, they can either react or, it's really fascinating and incredibly rewarding work. It's humbling on every level. And every client, every dog with a client, but every situation is so incredibly different. You might have similar behaviors and similar patterns and things going on, but they're all so very different in essence. And I learned something from every single person that I work with. So it's, our approach as trainers, I think it's constantly shifting and evolving. And for anyone to think that there's, just a set way or one way to approach anything is in kind of for a rude awakening. But
it's so true. So how would you use that outlook that there's no set way and everybody's different? Like how that's your intuition. How do you incorporate that intuitive side of sensing out clients to getting them, to working them through the resistance and, getting them where they intended to go. Like, because I'm assuming that when you start out, they set intentions of like what their goals are and where they want to end up and what they want from their dogs. And so how do you use your intuition to kind of navigate the middle messy part where it gets like the middle is the hardest part, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of what I found with, especially with private sessions, it's kind of like people's, how people, when the new year rolls around, they're like, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to work out like 5 times a week, and I'm going to drink green juice every day. All these goals, and they're, they might start out like really solid for the first 3 weeks or a month, and then they just kind of fall off. And I found that that's kind of, it's very similar with training. It happens a lot with private training.
Yes.
And that's why I actually, I even entertain the idea of doing the Stay and Learns, my board and train program specifically, because I think that even though there is a level of accountability, of course, after the dog goes home after a Stay and Learn program, I find that, it's just easier and the results it's more impactful, and I think it's just the more results happen, I think, through the Stay and Learn than versus the private training, because the private training is so heavily human dependent. And I'm very transparent. I let everybody know there's a high accountability factor, even with the Stay and Learns, but I equip them, I set them up, I give them all the resources, they get videos and pictures throughout the Stay and Learn. They get like anywhere between 30 and 50 pages of take-home notes that I write up for everybody specifically for that dog when the dog goes home. So they have a reference manual. Like I really invest a lot of my time and energy trying to provide and equip and educate because, but I mean, that's all I can do. I can show, I can guide, I can teach, I can share, I can tell, but unless the person that the dog's returning to steps up and makes the effort to maintain it all and puts the effort in to educate themselves and read the stuff, you know, that I've given them and blah, blah, blah. I mean, people will go only as far as they, you know, want to. And that's what I always say, like our level of expectation has to be in direct alignment with our level of effort.
Yeah. You know? If we're not putting in the effort that matches our expectation.
No. Yeah.
It's like the energy that our dogs are giving off and our energy level has to be the same too. Because if we're out of balance in any way, you can't get there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an everyday manner of showing up and it's an everyday effort. It's an everyday practice. But as far as speaking to your question about intuition and how I kind of slide into that space, I actually do have a bit of a ritual that I go through.
Yes.
Before I go see a client, I spend a lot of time in prayer.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's just, it's my thing. It's just a way for me to connect and tap in and just get really grounded. When we're able to still our minds and just get very quiet, then we can be more receptive. We can be more open. And I always ask for the right words to share for my eloquence and speech and delivery. Whatever it is that they need to hear, I just ask that, you know, it goes through me. So I really do. It's, you know, we're conduits, we're channels, we're vehicles, we're instruments. I mean, even like these messages, like what I write about, my dog, my Buddha, like all of these little concepts and blurbs that I put out, like it's not my message that I'm sharing. We're instruments, you know, and it's not my message to share it at all. But
I love that.
I do. Like I always ask for guidance, and I usually take a sea salt bath before I go. Just to kind
of have the time, I would be doing that.
Yeah. Well, honestly, like I make the time to do it.
Right.
Like, self-care is something that I'm really big on. I mean, if we can't show up as grounded, healthy, together, connected, great versions of ourselves, then, you know, it does directly affect all of those around us who are depending on us, you know? So self-care, I mean, and that's something like, and I know a lot of trainers struggle with this, is self-care, stress management, you know, investing in yourself and your health and your well-being, nutrition and personal fitness, stress management, again, just staying on top of your game. Like everything is food. It's not just what you put in your mouth. It's what you're feeding your mind, your brain. The
people you surround yourself with, the way, you know,
your
it's all intentional living, and how I like to use the word co-create, how we are co-creating with those around us, with our dogs, with ourselves,
yes,
with our inner guidance. Like, are we trusting our inner guidance?
Yeah.
My yoga this morning, the affirmation was, I trust.
And
I've
got that on my vision board.
So here's the funniest thing. This is like I don't know why, but I wanted to share this with you so bad. So I did the same yoga flow, like the same YouTube video yesterday.
Yeah.
And I could only get 10 minutes into it because my 2-year-old was climbing all over me. I was getting so frustrated.
Yeah.
It was exactly the same thing today. But for whatever reason, when I was sitting on the mat and I was saying, I trust, I was actually believing that affirmation.
Uh-huh.
And so she was pulling, Ruby was pulling the same antics on me that she did yesterday. But all of a sudden, I was like, I just went from downward dog to mountain pose with a 2-year-old on my back. And she never questioned. She never once questioned that she was going to fall off.
That's an added bonus, resistance training.
Yeah, right? And meanwhile, like, gravity is pulling her down. Like, she should have just tumbled. When I was in downward dog, she should have just tumbled off me.
Yeah.
I'm like, this girl is not moving. Because she was trusting herself and her body. And I was trusting myself and my body. And I was also trusting the flow of yoga. And I'm like, well, I'm in the flow, so I'm just going to let this flow. Mm-hmm. If we're not trusting ourselves, our self-care practice, our dogs, our clients, our business model, our relationships that we build, if we don't have that trust, like, we can't believe that anything is going to have a positive outcome.
Yeah. Well, if you really want to get, like, super, deep into it and, like, woo-woo, which I love the woo-woo.
I love woo-woo.
I love hugging trees. I love drinking my juice. Like, I love all that stuff.
You should have a little altar over here. You should see it. It's so fun.
I love it. I love that.
Ready? Hold on. Let's do some. I have Palo Santo.
I
light it. You all receive it. It just, like, clears the air. Woo, here we go.
Oh, very nice.
Those are my rituals. I always light my Palo Santo. Oracle cards are my game.
Yeah.
Of course, I do a lot of transcribing. So I do a lot of like, owners give me questions and I take those questions to their dogs. And then it's crazy how when you use that channeling side and that animal healing, the animal communication side, and pair it with the training, like, I've had people all of a sudden go, the leash reactivity just stopped. And I'm like, what do you mean it just stopped? Like, we've not finished fixing, like, we've not finished the training aspect. What do you mean it just stopped? Because when the owners are open and the dogs are always open.
Yeah.
When the owners are open to receiving and I, open that container for the healing, it enhances the training portion. Yeah. So my training approach is, it's not textbook, but, we train. And then I bring in the channeling, the source energy, and I trust. Like, I trust and the client trusts, and then we see it's amazing. I can't even explain it.
That's pretty phenomenal.
So that's how I bring intuition into it.
There's a documentary that I watched. You may have seen it. Anna Friedlich. It's called The Animal Communicator. I posted it. There's a YouTube link. It's got the full documentary. I posted it on the PackFit page a while ago, and I'll see if I can find it and send it to you.
I just found it.
I really, really think that it would resonate with you. You would really dig it. This documentary blew my freaking mind. It's amazing, this work that she does, and I think it just gives you a different perspective as far as life goes, and just animals. Really phenomenal.
I can't even, like, when I realized that, and this might be really woo for a lot of people, but dogs really don't have egos. They are, in the terms of, like, the intuitive source energy sense, they are far more connected to source energy than we are.
Oh, yeah.
So they just trust. They just innately trust that their instincts are correct. Yeah. So if I don't trust that person and my owner is not going to explain to me why I should trust that person, I'm just going to bite that person. I'm just going to take care of it. I'm just going to handle the imbalance that I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. And they just do it instinctually. And they're like, okay, I just took care of it. Mm-hmm. Got it. And we're like, no, No, that's not how you take care of it.
Yeah.
Like, the human is, like, we are here to take care of it, but we have to move almost
and to advocate.
Yeah, to advocate, to say, it's okay, I've got your back. I know that you're feeling funny about this, but here are the tools that we have, and we're going to use them, and we're going to bond, and it's going to be healthy bonding.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's our responsibility, and in times of, I mean, it's our responsibility to advocate and to know our dogs well enough, to be able to read them well enough, to know when they're uncomfortable or when they're feeling uncertain or when they're feeling a little nervous and unsure, you know, whatever. It's up to us to be able to read this and sense this about them so we can advocate. Yeah, and that's our role. We're supposed to be taking care of things, not leaving it up to the dog to take care of things.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. And that's, yeah, that's it. So, let's see. We've got a couple people in the room. Those are all my questions for you. So I don't know if anybody else has questions. Let me get this out of the way. Michelle Lilienthal said, "Hi, Kim, loving your book." And Wendy Winquist said, "I need to read your book again." I love the book. And I actually, can I just share that I opened it up and I read like 3 sentences and I was like, source energy. I'm like, she did not write this from her own brain. Like, it didn't come from there. That's what drew me in. And I was like, I need to talk to her because this is like gold. Like, it's special stuff.
Yeah, thank you. It's yeah, I mean it's I've got a couple more books that I'm writing right now. But My Dog, My Buddha was, I mean, it was my heart project.
Yeah, your brainchild, your heart child,
It's so much more. I mean, dogs, because they are so instinctual and because they're so connected directly to source, and we've got all these blocks and we've got all these filters and we've got all these programs and like conditioning and like all of this stuff, all these layers. I mean, there's so much that they're here to teach us. Just dogs teach us more about being human than we realize. They when we're open to it and we're receptive enough, I mean, they teach us more about who we are in nature, just who we are in essence. So,
yeah. And I think I can't even, like, the depth of that statement. It's almost like I find it hard to make that a tangible thing to absorb, because it's like, unless you are that open to seeing how your dog has, like, my dogs have transformed me. I was 22 when we got the dogs that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be here. And they're not easy dogs.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of trainers get to where they are because they've had a difficult dog that has made them stop and say, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And then want to realize that it's a them thing, and then want to share that with other people to help them feel that joy of the process.
Dogs will always challenge us in ways that will benefit us.
Absolutely.
They always challenge us in ways that benefit us. So that's why I love the challenging dogs, because there's gold in that. There's a lot of gold, and there's a lot of things that we need to be paying attention to.
Yeah.
So it's, there's an art and a beauty to it.
Oh, Maureen says, "Hi, ladies. I just joined today, and what you are talking about is just what I'm learning to trust in, just in the process of setting up my business and learning to firstly take care of myself, taking time for myself." Yay, Maureen, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
We can't fill other people's cups unless our cup is full.
Yes.
So that's my take on it. So yeah. Kimberly, do you have anything else that you want to share with everyone? I mean, we've covered a lot.
Yeah, no, we have. It's been an awesome. Gosh, has it been an hour already?
Yeah, it has been. Right?
No, I don't really have anything else to add. Other than, yeah, just remain open. Always allow room for surprise, and
I love that.
Trust your gut. Trust your instincts. If you've got a nudge and it won't go away, there's a reason for it. Always trust your gut instincts, and that's the thing. And that's kind of what I call intuitive training. Instinctual training is just, there's people. I don't think enough attention is given to working with animals and working with dogs solely based on instinct and intuition. There's a lot of skill sets. There's a lot of what to do's, and there's a lot of
the masculine, a lot of the masculine energy.
Yeah. There's a lot of just protocols and principles and skills and all of that stuff, and that's great. That's awesome stuff, and it's good to have. It's necessary, but I think that more attention needs to be paid to just intuitively feeling something out and then going with it. Because I mean it's our internal GPS system. It's never going to lead us astray.
Nope.
Never. And sometimes, in certain situations and scenarios, it might look like it's not necessarily going in a direction that we would have expected or hoped or wanted. But I guarantee you that it's always going to end up exactly where it is that we need to be.
Yep.
So
100%.
Huh?
100%.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And like you said, sometimes it's just like planting the seeds.
Yeah.
Planting the seeds and making people think and become more aware of their belief system and how that is like, because our belief systems go out like fingertips, like, and it infuses everything else that we attract in.
Yeah. That's, I mean, when I hear, I'm not listening. When I hear people speak, I mean, I'm listening, but what I'm really listening to is what the underlying truth is, because what the words that we speak, more often than not, aren't really true to what the source is. Whether it's like, fear or insecurity or doubt or lack of trust or lack of self-love or, whatever it is. But that's really what I'm listening to. I'm watching body language. I'm listening to the words that they choose to use to describe something. It's, again, it just like we were talking about earlier, it goes back to full circle, back to beliefs. The beliefs that we develop at a very young, early age that never really got fleshed out or addressed, and it's programming that we adopted. It becomes the filter, and it gives form to our thoughts and our words and how we feel, things that get triggered, all of that stuff. So in discovering and peeling back the layers to really take a deep look at to what our driving beliefs are, that's some really deep stuff. It takes a lot of work, a lot of self-study. It's self-study.
It really is. And I remember, last year when I first started learning about this whole law of attraction thing, what you believe you receive. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got that. Like, law of attraction. If I put it out, it will come to me. But it's so much deeper than just that superficial, like, we can't just think a thought and say, oh yeah, I'm going to receive that. If you don't realize that subconsciously you don't feel worthy of receiving half of what you're wanting.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people are like, oh, the law of attraction is bunk and blah, blah. Because, they might be thinking these thoughts over and over again. But everything happens for a reason sometime. Yeah. I mean, we can be thinking thoughts, and we can be going through the motions and saying the words and doing the actions and thinking the thoughts and all that stuff. But if our beliefs are a lot different than what it is that we're, just forcing ourselves to think and say and do all that, we attract what we believe, in our deepest part of self.
Yep.
We attract what we believe. There's very potent energy there,
Yeah.
So, when it comes to, what's up, bud? My big guy's behind me, and he's like kicking me in his sleep.
Did he just like totally like change it? Not change energy, but just start doing something totally different?
Yeah, he was just like, yeah.
That's really funny because my baby Gordy just started crying in the other room at that exact same moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maybe that's our barometer.
Yeah. No. But yeah, I mean, it's really, really potent stuff. So, I mean, doing self-study is, I mean, it's something that we should be, investing in every single day. Like before, I live such a routine life. I do the same freaking thing every single day.
Yoga and green juice.
Huh?
Yoga and green juice.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I wake up, and this is so because I have so many things that I want to do and so many things that I need to do that I really have to be really structured and regimented with my time. Yeah. I wake up, let the dogs out, make breakfast for them, make breakfast for me, answer emails, go for a walk, come back. I vacuum my floors every day. I'm neurotic about my floors. Like there's something like I have to have clean floors. Like I vacuum every day.
I'm neurotic about my kitchen.
Yeah.
I can't see clearly if it's a hot mess.
Yeah. So, and then after I vacuum, I make my green juice, and I'll do either weight training or yoga or Pilates, and then I'll go see clients, and then I'll come back, do the afternoon walk. I'll send homework PDFs or whatever I need to shoot off to more clients, whatever that involves. And then I'll make dinner for them, make dinner for me, then we'll go out for a relief roll, and then I'll go upstairs and read, and I go to bed. Same thing every single day.
Same thing every single day.
Every single day. But again, I mean, it's, well, in that time, I've like I said, I've got 2 books I'm working on. I'm working on an online course. Do you know what the Daily Ohm is?
No.
Really? The Daily Ohm. Oh, you would so dig that. It's thedailyohm.com. It's Ohm spelled O-M, the Daily. Okay. But they offer online courses. And you actually might really be a great candidate, if you ever wanted to offer a course through them. But the course that I'm developing right now is called Bridging the Gap, Building a Bomb-Proof Relationship with Your Dog.
I love that.
Thanks. Thank you. So I'm working on that right now. But yeah, so I've got my time. I have to be very careful with my times. Then I'll add time to that, and then I'll add time to my other books. And so it's.
I'm always like, let me just add 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes. And then I'm like, it's been 45 more minutes.
Yeah. 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 Sometimes, if the flow's going, you got to go with it. You can't interrupt it.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Maureen says, she added something else. She said, everything happens for a reason. Sometimes we need to remind ourselves of that and trust. Her husband is going through some mental health issues, and his family is clinging on the past, but I believe he is developing massively and simply finding himself. Hard journey, but so worth it.
Yeah.
I think we become more aware of ourselves. Like, it feels like everybody around us is becoming more negative, but it's really not the case. So, like, when people around us are, we're like, oh, they're focusing so much on the past. And it's not that they're focusing so much on it, it's we're more aware of where their outlook is in comparison to where we are.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my woo-woo thought on that.
Yeah, and it's there's something to be said. Like, I'm not that I like having struggle or I want more of it, but there's something to be said for people that I think that hardship and struggle are both incredibly powerful teachers.
We can't grow without contrast.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you said, if we stay comfortable, if we just stay in comfort, we're not going to grow.
No. So yeah, I believe that everything happens for a reason, just like Maureen said.
It's true. Well, since it's been here for over an hour, I feel like we could talk forever.
I'm not talking about this stuff.
I know. So this is Kimberly's book, My Dog, My Buddha. Kimberly, where can they get it? Where can they order it?
Is there a link I can post?
I think I did, actually. You know what? I think I did. So I'll link it back up in the comments after this. If there's anybody that doesn't have it, that they can get it.
There's 3 different covers available. It's the same book inside, but there's 3 different covers. So whichever cover resonates with whoever.
Yeah. Tracy was funny. She's like, I got you the Hound book.
Oh, yay!
Because I have beagles.
Oh, okay.
So she's like, I got you the Hound book. I'm like, I love you.
Aww.
I love my hounds. So, well, all right. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was really awesome chatting.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Meeting you.
Yeah, right. Meeting you.
Yeah.
So let's keep in touch, and maybe we'll do this again. Talk about something different.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's the year of the dog, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna be doing for my clients a yoga series with their dogs to celebrate.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
super
very
excited.
cool. Yeah, you'll have to post like pics and videos or whatever of that.
Yeah. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. So, all right.
All right.
Bye. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.